So today we're here working on a walk-in freezer, and the complaint is that they've got ice all over the floor. So see, nice in this corner we've got a giant puddle of ice. My assumption is, and we're going to pull this insulation off, that we've got a broken drain line with a busted drain line heater. It doesn't sound like it's frozen, but we're going to go through it and try to figure this out. So my assumption is that it's here in this corner because we've got a large accumulation of ice. And unless this floor was extremely unlevel, it could be dripping over here and running this way, but I don't think that's the case. So I think that we've got a busted drain line right here. Because if you look up to the top of the walk-in, it's not coming from there. Doesn't look like it's coming from the drain pan. Okay, so we pulled off the insulation, and look at what we found right in the corner where we thought it was going to be. Because it looks like the drain was plugged up. It's actually not plugged up right now though, so that's interesting. So we're going to get this thing repaired, and then I don't care if this heater is good or not, we're going to go ahead and replace this heater too, just to be safe, because we don't want to have to come back on this. We'll inspect the rest of the pipe and see. We may just replace that section right there more than likely, and obviously get a water hose on this and blow this drain out. Okay, so we pulled all the insulation off. We're going to go ahead and redo this whole drain line because we found several breaks in it. If you follow it, we're looking okay here. But once we come down here, we've got this break. There's another break. There's another break over here. Like, it's just multiples. There's one down there. So it's going to be easier for us just to cut this drain line and redo it all. We'll put a new heater on it, like I said. And then the trick is that we're going to take, because this is a 3/4 inch drain line, we're going to take 1 1/8" ID insulation, and it's going to fit perfectly over this and seal perfectly over the drain line heater, instead of trying to wrap 3/4 inch insulation. So we'll get that going right now. So we're going to start just demoing this. If we tried to just repair the pieces, it would take us longer. And also, this drain line heater has memory in it now that's been wrapped so long, so when we try to rewrap it, it's just going to be a nightmare. So I brought all new stuff. So we got the drain line all taken out, and this is what we're finding once we get over here. It's actually frozen right into here too. So what we're going to do is go ahead and drill a big enough hole through the wall that our insulation can actually run through, or at least the heater can run through. And we'll wrap the heater all the way through into the walk-in cooler for a foot or so, because this is a walk-in cooler over here, and that's our drain line coming through right there. So we're going to make it big enough to where the heater can actually come through. So we're just getting ready to pipe this. We did our best to get the ice up off the floor, and then we went ahead and drilled a hole big enough. We're not going to push the insulation through the wall, but we drilled it big enough to where we can push the whole drain line through the wall with a heater around it. And then we'll connect it on the other side and insulate both sides of it. So, and then we'll spray foam that to seal up the penetration. That way we can actually get the heater running through the wall. But you got to make sure that your hole is big enough that the heater's not going to touch, so it doesn't short out or anything. So now we're just going to mock up the pipe. So you can see we put the end on there, and then we wrap it about every 2.5, 3 inches, zip tie it. It's going through the wall. We're going to insulate it. This is going into the cooler, so it doesn't need to run the full length. Just needs to basically, if you can, penetrate as much after the wall as possible. Okay, so we got it all wrapped around. It was a 2-person job. It was a pain in the butt. You notice that as I get closer to this corner, I go tighter on my turns, because I want to keep the corners warm. It's my personal preference. Then if I pan out, you see it separates a little bit. Then as I get up to the top corner, I keep it a little bit more. Go right up to here, And then I'm gonna go ahead and put an end kit on here, and then we're gonna run it into this coil. We'll get that ice up there defrosted too. And we're gonna hook it to N and 4 because I want this thing heating the drain line when it's in the freeze mode. Personal preference. I don't see the point in heating it when it's in the heating mode because the water's coming off the coil warm and dripping down the drain line. What I want that heater, and my theory is I want that heater to heat any spots where we might have a slow flow and it might freeze. So now we're going to insulate it and hook the end kit on it. So I came up into here, I insulated all the lines, like I said, 1/8" insulation, so it fits perfectly around there and seals off the pipe. We're going to put a support strap on here. The heater's ran, it's hooked up. It's hooked up to 4 and N terminal, so it runs in the freeze mode. It's running right now. I get 1 amp across the heater, which is good. We're going to get this ice melted and get this unit into a defrost while we're cleaning up, because there's some ice on the other side too. And that's it. So we're just kind of in cleanup mode now. Did really good insulating everything, so it's nice and good. We can run it exposed like this a little bit. It's not a big deal. It doesn't get burning hot or anything. It's just a very low heat across it. So we're good. Just kind of cleaning up. So we got the unit in defrost now, and we're just going to test the defrost heaters. You notice you've got heaters running through the back. So the top 2 black lines, touching right there is your heater. So these top 2 is 1 heater. These 2 are 1 heater. Those 2 are 1 heater, and then there's also a heater in the pan. So altogether 1, 2, 3, they have 4 heaters in this thing, and you want to see amp draw across all of them, and I do. So we're good. So you can just put your clamp on there, test amp draw, don't let it touch the heating element. Good. 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 All the heaters are good. Okay. Alright, so we're getting this thing back together. We've got their fries back where they go. We'll let them do the rest of their organizing, but we are going to dig into this because the side of this thing looks like it's all frozen up. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's giant cracks in the blades. These are old school blades, you can see. They'll probably change that blade out for them. It's been hitting the ice is what it's been doing. There's ice in the expansion valve section real good. See if I can get a light up in there. You guys can see that. See all back in there. So we'll get that ice taken out, defrosted. It's draining like it should be. We have it in a long defrost temporarily. We just took the X terminal off the defrost clock and put it in a 50-minute defrost. That way while we were kind of putting things back together, it would just, get some of the ice out. And that's it. I think we're gonna call this one a quit. Be done. The ice in the expansion valve section more than likely was from a freeze up that someone never got into the side over there because it's not on any other parts of the coil. So.
All right, so this was a service call on a walk-in freezer that had ice all over the floor. The customer had called and they were just complaining. So when I came out, I kind of had a hunch, and this was actually the second time I'd been out. I'd been previous to diagnose. I had brought back this time heater cable and everything that I needed because I had a really good idea that it was a busted drain line. And my suspicions were confirmed. As you guys saw in the video, once I went ahead and pulled all the insulation off, we found multiple breaks in the drain line. So it was just easier to go ahead and replace everything and start from scratch, as opposed to trying to repair all the broken spots. The labor would have been just about the same. So we went ahead and replaced the entire drain line, replaced the entire heater, and then re-insulated the entire thing. And like I said in the video, my personal preference, the heater is wired up to the cooling circuit, so to 4 and the N terminal. That way the heater runs when it's in freeze mode, and then when it's in defrost mode, there's no need for the heater to run because the water's warm dripping down the drain line. My theory behind that is that just in case there's a low spot or something like that in the drain, or even a slight restriction, I don't want that water to freeze, essentially, okay? And it's only gonna freeze, theoretically, when it's in the freeze mode. I guess it's possible in the heat mode, but you guys get the point, okay? That's it. It wasn't anything too technical. It's just a time-consuming job, these drain line heaters. You just gotta take your time and do it right. Wrapping them is kind of a pain in the butt, and then also, if you've ever done the cut-to-fit drain line heater, I think it's made by Raypak, the end kits are kind of silly too. You got to follow the procedures and the instructions thoroughly to get the end kit put on there properly, and then the electrical termination on the other end put on properly too. But other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. Okay. Hey, I just want to say thanks a lot for taking the time to watch these videos. I really appreciate you guys doing that, and I really appreciate the feedback you guys have been leaving me. I've been getting, video requests, and I will say video requests are a little difficult for me because I film these as I get service calls. I don't go out with the intent of finding a service call that I can film a certain particular video. You understand what I'm saying? So, if you guys make a request, I'll keep it in mind to try to film one of those if I ever come on it, but it's not like I can just go film that video. I do these, like I said, as the service calls come in. But thanks a lot for that, guys. And, right now, next to me, you'll see some other channels that are popping up. I suggest you guys give those channels a view and maybe consider subscribing to them. They got some great content out there. And we'll see you guys on the next one, okay?